Hi, welcome to the show, and the number is 016, and we're carrying on with a conversation that I'm having with Adam Ashe, professional rugby player for the Glasgow Warriors. And this part of the conversation reminds me of the X Factor. What is that? What is that special place that people come from where they perform absolutely out of their skin? Enjoy the session, and I will speak to you again at the end. And because in sport there's so many, if you like, routines and rules and regulations and practices that we have come up with that supposedly create finest performances, we attribute our finest performances to those. So coaches are stuck with, well, that worked last time, so we do extras of that, and this looks like it might work, so we'll do extras of that, and all the time we're doing that in a rigid way, in a strict way. We might just be losing sight of this spaciousness out of which life just is. And I don't want to get too esoteric, but when we look at where performance comes from and what performance is all about, it's about having fun, isn't it? It's about moving a ball. Can you get the ball from here to here without them getting it? That's it.
It's so funny, isn't it?
So guys, what sort of fun can we have doing that?
Yeah. We make these. I just kind of seen there just for the first time. I think that we have these skills that we point to as that was what created performance. But that they're just made up as well. That's all made up. Like the fact is that. Yeah, like we have something within us that we're playing this game here, and we have these things within the game that we call these things, skills. But there is no right way to do anything. There's no, that was quite cool to see that. I guess what I'm seeing is that skills are, we're taught these skills, but they're not definitive, they're not a thing. They're just ways in which people have done things. Not to say that there's not another way you can do it, like it's just, yeah.
You've got it. That's the crazy bit, you see. We get stuck on the way in which it's done before through their physical bodies. Yeah. And now you get a new set of physicality and a new expression of the energy of all things. And we're still trying to replicate the way in which it came through before those bodies.
Yeah, totally.
Because people have attributed those successes to those particular movements, skills, behaviors, responses, whatever you want to call it. But when you see that in any given moment, in any given time, performance and life it's timeless. So, and if we can see that and we can get a real sense of that, then we will be much more willing to see what we can create in every moment by just setting, if you like, even much broader parameters. I mean, when I see football managers saying to their professional players, this is the way I want you to play the game. I want you to X, Y, Z, and then absolutely ticking them off when they don't do that. I just think they're completely thwarting their players' capacity to create magnificence and genius, because you're limiting it to your own perception of how the game should be played. And I totally get what you've just seen in terms of we run these lines, we run these setups, we run these ways. And it could be so much more creative. And we might even really surprise ourselves when we've got nothing on it. We're not attached to. We get all attached, don't we? Or, well, this is the way it's been done for, a long time. And then we get all sorts of insecurity around leaving that. Oh, no, we better not. And then... And it's like, no, just go for it. Go for it. Just play a little bit more freer and really see where performance comes from. And you are always okay. Your well-being doesn't come from the level of execution of any movement. It's always there.
Yeah, it's cool. How funny is that I hadn't really seen that yet. Like, I'd seen it in something else before I'd seen it in what is I actually do, which is cool, That's right. That is really cool. I think, and I mean, I'm so used to doing things a certain way, and it's just suddenly occurred to me that that's nonsense, like, that's kind of absolute nonsense. That, it just doesn't have to be that way. That's the way it was done, and that's the way that it might have been done before. But there is absolutely nothing saying that it has to be done that way in the future. That's cool. That's actually quite a big insight.
Sounds like it, Adam. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wow, that's lovely. It's lovely. The thing that's coming up for me is artists and paintings, and I use this metaphor because it really speaks to me in terms of performance. That the artist doesn't know what the painting's going to look like at the end. He doesn't even know what his relationship is going to be like to the painting. He doesn't even know how people are going to... He will never know how people are going to perceive the painting. So he doesn't even know what colours he's going to use. He doesn't know what materials he's going to use. He doesn't know anything. An artist doesn't know anything. They really do show up fresh to the canvas. Mm-hmm. And they have an idea and they start to paint. Why don't we do that in sport?
Yeah. There's just so much there at the moment. It's like there's a way for it to be done, and that's that exact thing that is blocking the stopping things evolve. It's that exact thing that's in the way. And I've never, I've not seen, in my experience, I've not seen, well, I have seen, but I suppose I've not seen a group of players come together with that behind it, with that understanding behind it. I know what it looks like because I've kind of seen it, but that happens by default, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that would be really, really amazing to see. To think what could happen, like just, you see Messi in football, you see him doing these things and you're like, where the hell did that come from? Like, where did that go? How did he manage to do that? And that's it, that's exactly what it is. It's that creation taking place, and it can only happen in the moment. It can only come from there. It can't come from believing there's a way that it has to be done.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Adam, isn't it? Because you can see, certainly in football, you can see there are players who, because they have this amazing flair, all right, they are given license. They're non-conformists. They are given license to run it slightly differently. and the rest of the team have to conform to the runs and the style but these ones that just seem to have the flair, well, that's because they're special, you know.
I know.
They're all special.
I know. It is. It's so funny, man.
They're all special. They all have that capacity.
Yeah. I know. It brings me back, you know, thinking about some of the most influential players that I've played with. And it seems that they've just done it. They've just done it their way. They've just done it the way that made sense to them. And you can see at times, you know, coaches have tried to coach it out of them because maybe at times it didn't come off, or it was an unorthodox way of doing something. But, you know, yeah, to think back, you know, you can see it that these guys are the you know, the guys that have that spark and that flair. And that's only came from them. It can't be something that's put in. It's something that comes through, you know, and it's something that is created, and someone else can't create that. It can only be created from within.
I love that, Adam. It can't be something that can be put in. It can't be created. It can only come from within. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. Oh, you know, I wrote something earlier on, and it was along the lines of when we see something that's true, effortlessly, things that aren't true just fall away, you know, and that's cool, you know. That is, it's what's evolved me as a person away from even, well, as a person, you know. Like, you can't define in different things, but it's what's evolved me as a person is when a load of stuff falls away. It's not that a load of things came in, it's a load of things fell away. And I think most people think that it's the opposite. They believe it's about putting in. And yeah, it's probably something that's misunderstood quite a lot.
Yeah, it's transformation, isn't it? It's that's the power of it, isn't it? That you're looking in one direction, which is giving you particular results, and then suddenly you see through a misunderstanding that you've been trying to change and manipulate forms.
Yeah.
And get really involved in the content of the forms that have been created. And then you realize, well, actually, if you go right back to the source of all of those forms and how it actually works, the nature of it, you can end up going in a completely different direction. And by doing that, that's going to accelerate performance and learning, and, you know, there's way less suffering in there. And it evolves us as human beings so much faster in every part of our lives. That's what I think this work does for me, is that in every part of an athlete's life, communications and relationships on and off the pitch, it changes that person such that everything else is impacted.
Yeah, I had a friend contact me. It must have been a couple of months ago now, and he said he's a professional athlete as well, and he'd said to me that he'd been kind of doing some unproductive behaviours off the field, and wanted to. I think he'd been probably drinking too much and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, he'd kind of seen on Facebook and whatnot that, you know, Grayson and I had been sharing this work, and he'd text me just to ask, you know, what is this about? You know, there's some things that I'd like to change and all the rest of it. And I just pointed him in the direction of what it is we're talking about. And I think I passed him on to a book that I had read and found extremely helpful. And just this afternoon there, he texted me and he said to me that he's like, the strangest things happened. I've not drank in like 6 weeks, and I've just not wanted to. It's like, and I'm just like, how cool is that? Like, how amazing is that? It's he's completely transformed effortlessly through not even doing anything, through the natural capacity of the mind just shedding something away and bringing something new in. And that was cool. That's really cool to hear that. That was it. That was so cool.
That's really lovely, isn't it? Because he could have, got into some really unsavory behaviors and, ended up losing his career. He could lose relationships. He could end up very sick. And we've seen that happen so many times in elite and professional sport. And, now is the time for everyone to sort of wake up to, well, have we got this right? Is there something we're missing? It does seem to me that I spend far less time in suffering states of mind than I ever did.
Yeah, me too.
By minute, I'm not so wanting to get out of it. I'm not trying to look for a solution to my feeling state. I just know I'm in a feeling state that's a bit low right now. And there's nothing more I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Definitely. I'm the same. The quality of what I'm experiencing has drastically shifted. And the cool thing about it, the cool thing about my mate that had that kind of shift is he didn't even know what happened. He didn't even, and that's just, to me, it kind of points to something that's true. Regardless, like the person doesn't even know what's going on or what's happened. It's just been a shift. Been a shift from within. And that's the thing with something that's true. It's not something that we can look for, it seems to happen in a way. Yeah. Yeah, it's remarkable stuff. It really is, It's, I feel so lucky to have come across this, and there's no doubt about it. The demands and at the moment in professional sport, I think, are players. It's not often spoken about, but a lot of players do struggle. I know in the professional sport arena, there's players there that you would think, all these, the position of some of these guys, the money they get paid, blah, 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 blah. And they probably think it themselves that they'll be content when they get there, but it's just not the case. It's not the case. And again, as much for on the field as there is room for this off the field. Because for me, so far, the biggest shifts that I've seen have been in my relationships, have been with my family, have been, my general sort of feeling that I'm living in has just completely changed. And that's where I've probably seen this massive shift. And I know there's so much more to come, there's so much more to come. So yeah, there's so much room for this.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the session with Adam Ashe of the Glasgow Warriors. And if you'd like to get hold of Adam, his email is adam_ashe@aol.co.uk. And if you'd like to get hold of myself, you can contact me on denise.holland@class-performance.com, or you can look at my website, www.class-performance.com. And that just leaves me to wish you a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon. Bye-bye.